Trevor Zegras steals the show for the Anaheim Ducks in front of a near-empty Honda Center, and the Canucks' woes continue. It's 4 straight losses for the Vancouver Canucks. They are 5-9-2 this season. They have 12 points in 16 games, and they have 3 regulation wins in those 16 games. I don't even want regulation wins at this point. I just want wins, or at least overtime games. I just want something. Let's break this one down pretty quickly, and then we'll get to your thoughts and my thoughts on it as well. We have Tyler Mott coming back in this one. We have Jack Rathbone going back to Abbotsford, being loaned to Abbotsford, even though he's probably still with the team anyways, just being papered down to make room for Tyler Mott. All right, first period. We have Niels Höglander opening up the scoring, 7.5 minutes in. Beautiful goal, beautiful move through center ice, undresses everybody, goes back and forth, swerves in, and then a quick shot beats Gibson. It hits his glove, still goes in. It's the rare first goal of the game for the Vancouver Canucks, but it's obviously not enough here because the only goal the Canucks would score. The Ducks answered about 5 minutes later. The Canucks on the penalty kill, and the Canucks penalty kill fails once again. A face-off won by Anaheim. Puck goes to Zegras on a one-timer, hits a rocket, a beautiful shot. His first of the night ties it up, and that's basically it for the first period. That's all that I care about talking about there. Shots in the first, 13-7 Anaheim. So a team that has said they're going to come out hard, the team that says that they were embarrassed by the last 2 games, a team that says we're going to be better, gets outshot 13-7 in the first and escapes in a tie game. We go to the second period. And Trevor Zegras continues his party early in the second period. Ducks on another power play. This time it's a Ryan Getzlaf shot that gets stopped. Rebound is there. Zegras goes shelf under the bar, and it's 2-1 Ducks. And then 6 minutes later, we have Sonny Milano getting the insurance marker to make it a 2-goal game. It's a flip down the ice, drops in front of him. It's Fowler with a nice play. It results in the Canucks defense being entirely broken. Completely lost on this play. Zegras does a nice little spin move a la Connor Garland, gets the backhand pass through Connor Garland and onto the stick of Sonny Milano. He goes shelf on the backhand, and it's 3-1. Shots in the second period were 11-11, a bit more of an even period, but the Canucks can't score a goal, and the Ducks have made it a 2-goal game. And at this point, I don't think anyone expected the Canucks to win, and they didn't. So let's go to the third period. At one point in this third period, the Vancouver Canucks go 8 consecutive minutes without a shot on goal. The team was down by 2, 3-1. They are 3 games in to a losing streak. They have been blown out the last couple of games, and then they go 8 minutes without a shot. They're checked out. They're clearly checked out. Something is wrong. Something has to change, obviously, and we'll talk about that again, just like we did last night. But I mean, you can't go 8 minutes without a shot on goal when you're in the heart of a bad losing streak. It's just crazy. So the Canucks pull the goalie with 3.5 minutes to go. Obviously, desperation mode. No point criticizing this. The Canucks had done nothing for the first 17 minutes of the period, so you might as well pull the goalie early. Troy Terry misses an empty net. Good play by Elias Pettersson on the back check there to break that one up. Adam Henrique misses a shot from center, and then he ends up all alone on sort of a partial breakaway. Scores to make it 4-1. And then you think, okay, they're done. Yeah, the Canucks are going to pull the goalie again. But then they still scored again. Sam Steele, about 20 seconds later, makes it 5-1. A good play by Getzlaf to poke the puck through. Or that was the Henrique goal. But Steele goes in and scores again to make it 5-1 for the Ducks. And that is how this one ended. Not 3-1, not 4-1, but 5-1. So let's do some math here. In the last 3 Canucks games, they've allowed 19 goals. 19 goals against in the last 3 games, 7, 7, and 5. So over 5 on the average. That's too many to be allowing. But let's go into the pluses and minuses. We'll start on the pluses. Let's get some positivity, some moral victories. We love moral victories here, right? Niels Höglander, again, the heart that he has. He's always working. He had 6 shots on goal tonight. 6 shots in 15 minutes of ice time. Again, I'd like to see that be closer to 20 the way he's playing. Basically scoring almost every night now. He got his 5th of the year. Hughes and Miller on the assists on that one. Great game from Höglander. And again, if everyone was playing with the heart and intensity that he was, this team would be doing a lot better. My next plus is that the team didn't lose by that much. And then I wrote that before the Ducks scored 2 more goals late. So they lost by 4. They lost by 3 last night. They lost by 6 a couple of days ago. They didn't allow as many goals, I guess. Only 5 goals against. That's good, guys. Good improvement. If this keeps tracking, in a few days, they'll be allowing 0 goals a game. It's perfect. I thought Halak was fine. I don't have much to say about that. He wasn't the reason they lost. The team was apathetic and boring. And then my last plus is maybe this gets us a little bit closer to change being made. However, usually when there's like some change looming, whether it's a coach firing or a GM firing, usually there's some sort of buzz, right? Usually there's some reporters that are saying like, hey, I'm hearing like something's coming on or something's happening. There's been no media buzz around anything around people getting fired. So my hopes aren't super high, but look, 4-game losing streak, all of them pretty bad losses. And this one to the Ducks in a game that the team looked entirely checked out at the end of a short 3-game road trip that didn't have really a lot of travel, right? Denver, then Vegas, then Anaheim. Sure, it's a back-to-back, but still, right? You got to show up and do a little bit better than they did tonight. Let's go to the minuses. Obvious minus, 4 straight losses, which tanks them in the standings, right? They're like I said, they're 5-9-2. Again, is the Kraken going to catch up to them? How'd they do? I think the Kraken lost again. But either way, 12 points in 16 games. The only teams doing worse, Chicago has 10 points. Arizona has 3 points in 15 games. Arizona's won 13-1. That is impressive. They've won 1 game all season. Ottawa's doing a bit worse. Montreal is doing a bit worse in the standings. Buffalo is doing better than the Canucks are, though. San Jose is doing better. Anaheim moves up to 2nd place in the division, leapfrogging Calgary tonight. Again, it's just not good enough. The penalty kill, 50% tonight, baby. 2 for 4 goes Anaheim's power play. Not like they have a crazy elite power play, a star-studded power play. They're a fine power play unit. But they score twice on the Canucks. Has the stats updated yet? I want to see what the penalty kill's at. Let's sort by lowest. It has not updated yet. But going into this game, it was at 63.3%. It's going to go down because it was 50 tonight. So they're probably around 61, 62% on the penalty kill, which is atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. They got outshot in this one. Like I said, shots in the first period. Do I have it here? Did it get moved? 13-7 for Anaheim. Shots in the second, 11-11. Shots in the third, 14-9 for Anaheim. The total shots in this game, 38-27. They allow almost 40 shots against once again. They have less than 30 themselves. They got beat by every metric. And I do, while we're here, I do like to pull up some of the analytics and just see how the team performed analytically. Expected goals at all situations was 70%. Anaheim had 5.42 expected goals. Vancouver had 2.26, which is not good enough. Again, I don't know how else to put it. The Canucks got beat, and they got beat by every definition of the word. My next minus is that the team didn't really have any fight. Sure, they got outshot, they got outplayed, but it wasn't that, the other team was better than them tonight. They just looked like they didn't care. There was no intensity other than Niels Höglander, really. The team looked lackadaisical. They looked like they were checked out. Is this a sign of a coach losing the room? I don't know. Again, it's hard for me to say, hard for me to define. But it feels that way, right? It feels like something's wrong, and the easiest change will be in the organization, whether it's in coaching or management side. And then my last one is, I don't know how much you guys use Twitter. I like to just have Twitter on my other screen during the game and just sort of keep it refreshing, and just cause it makes it a little more interactive, a little more fun. Twitter was dead tonight. No one was really talking about the Canucks on Twitter tonight. No one cared. Sunday night, not like there was much else going on. I mean, there was Sunday Night Football. The Chiefs were playing, but okay. But there was no one really talking other than like the main suspects, like Thomas Rance, J-Pat, like the people who cover the team. But like I follow quite a few people who just are Canucks fans, and there just wasn't a lot going on Twitter. David Quadrelli put a poll on Twitter 9 minutes ago. at 7:31 p.m. And he asked, has apathy set in for you already, Canucks fans? 600 votes, 91.5% say yes. 90% of the Canucks fan base, which uses Twitter and follows David Quadrelli, which means these are pretty hardcore fans, right? They're not the average, person who watches 20 games a year. These are, real Canucks fans who are like, I'm not trying to like gatekeep fans, but these are people who, pay attention to every game. And 92% of them are saying that they already have apathy setting in. That's terrible. How many games? We're 16 games into the season. What's that? 16 over 82. We are 20% of the way through this season. There's still 66 games to go, and people are checked out already. And you know why people are checked out? It's because it's hard to see the light here, right? We have had, years and years and years of mediocrity, of no upside. We had, when Pettersson joined the team, Besser joined the team, there was these glimmers of hope and we could see the future and there was some excitement there, right? Same thing for Höglander and a little bit for Podkolzin earlier this season. But now you're seeing this team is assembled. The team is what it is, right? The Canucks don't really have any more cavalry coming, right? Sure, Klimovich in a year or two might be a member of the team. The Canucks don't have many other like almost NHL ready prospects though. So this is sort of the team that has been built. And the team that has been built, if this is it, this isn't good enough, right? What, we're going to be a 70-point team until we rebuild again? Yeah, there's no wonder people are getting apathetic. Why wouldn't you, right? Why would you bother spending your time, spending your energy, spending 3 hours on your Sunday night watching this hockey team that is probably going to lose? And it's not like they're going to lose in an entertaining fashion. They're just going to go out and they're going to score 1 goal against Anaheim in an empty arena. Why bother, right? So, we're just going to start getting into this direction. Man, tickets are going to be cheap. If you want to go to a Canucks game and you hit the secondary market, you can probably go to games for, we're probably talking $20-25 to get in the door if that's something you're interested in. But yeah, apathy's setting in early this year. And that's what happens on losing streaks when it's losing streaks that don't look like they are outliers, right? Again, it's not like, if the 2011 Canucks team went on a 4-game losing streak, you look at that and be like, okay, but they're still like, they have good runs in the play and sure they're losing, but they're just not getting the bounces and things aren't going their way. That's not the case here. The Canucks are just getting outplayed. They're just looking slow and lazy and they're getting beat. But anyways, that's my thoughts on this one. Let's get into some of yours. Again, there's a ton of you guys in here, which is crazy. I appreciate all you guys joining in here. We will take some listener questions, some listener thoughts as we always do. But we're not going to take a ton of them because I do want to wrap up pretty shortly here. We'll do maybe 30 minutes at most. You guys have about 20, you guys have 1 more minute to get your questions in. We're going to throw a hard cutoff at about 7:46. So once those questions are in, we're going to take whatever's in and we'll go from there. Zach saying, I love the community, but I hate this team. I don't know what to do. That's a vibe I'm starting to get to here. You know what? Like if I wasn't making these videos, these streams, I don't know if I would have watched this game tonight. I probably wouldn't have. I probably would have been like, you know what? No, I'm just going to chill. I'm going to play some video games with my friends, or I'll go out and, go have a dinner or something. But tonight, I watched this game and I kind of regret it, right? It wasn't that fun. But I do love the community. I love that you guys are here and I'm in the same boat as Zach. So at least that's a positive, in this one. Lots of people, talking about Alan saying it's really frustrating. Somebody needs to be fired at this point. I don't care who it is. Yeah. Again, I'm of the boat that something needs to change. And again, you can sell me on getting rid of Jim Benning because of 8 years. If this is 8 years in, this is the team we have. That's not good enough. Sure, you can sell me on that. You can sell me on getting rid of Travis Green by saying, hey, look, this is a roster that looks like it should be pretty good and they're not performing. They don't look like they're trying. And I'd buy that too. So yeah, something has to change. Troy saying champagne without the sham. Love it. Good one. So how you doing? Saying fire everyone except for Ian Clark. Yeah, that is something you have to keep in mind, right? I don't know if Ian Clark would survive a cleaning of house, but I think that's less important than the house cleaning itself. Hagum saying, Parker, if you just said fire everyone and then ended the stream, no one would be mad at you. Well, maybe I will end it that way. But yeah, again, I've said fire everyone's sort of been my motto for the last little while. And again, I don't want guys like Ian Clark to get fired, for example. And sure, like Brad Shaw just joined, and he might not be the problem. We don't know, right? But I think the change needs to start as high up as possible. Adam saying that he thinks the Green's probably done after this. Again, I haven't heard anything, right? There hasn't been a lot of rumor going around. Again, I'm going to pull up Twitter and just see if there's anything going on, but I just, there's nothing that's like Irfan is saying, Irfan Ghaffar is really hard on it and saying something needs to change. I just don't know if and what ownership is going to do. If Jim isn't in their plans for the future, that's easy. But if you have a plan to replace Jim already, then go for it. Don't think they're paying Travis millions not to coach. So Irfan's saying that if they're going to change something, it would be the general manager, which again, I would kind of be fine with because it's probably better for long term. But again, it probably means that this season is somewhat of a write-off. Fangirl saying, do I think the Green or Benning gets fired by the morning? By the morning, no. Man, it would be... You don't really want to fire people on a Monday. It's one of the worst times to fire somebody because it's hard, the heat of the news cycle, start of the week. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to get my hopes up on someone getting fired because I just don't really see it happening because we haven't heard anything. Chris saying this is better than losing by a goal. At least now management has to do something, not just say they were close and had bad luck. Well, they don't have to do something, but I was of the same mindset when it was 3-1. I was hoping that, I'm like, okay, well, if the Canucks are going to lose this, at least lose by a bunch, right? And I said that during the Avalanche game, the Canucks lost 7-1. It was 3-1. Or was it 3-0? Yeah, it was 3-0 in the first period in the Avalanche game. And I tweeted out and I said, make it 10. Go for 10. Score 10, please. If the Canucks are going to lose anyways, I'd rather them lose 10-1 than 3-1 because maybe that's enough to get the message across at some point. Kai saying if Jim Benning and Travis Green are still here after going 2-4-1 at home and then a 0-3 road trip, I'm convinced we're never getting change. Yeah. And I mean, you look at the other guys that got fired, right? Gillis got fired after like one playoff miss. Nonis was sort of in the same boat. And then, yeah, now 8 years and a bunch of failure. And apparently from all we've heard is that Francesco Aquilini likes having a yes man. He likes having a guy that will, that isn't going to try to mess with the status quo or anything. And that's just sort of the situation that the Canucks are in here. Eric saying the 2 goals in 21 seconds to end off the game, make it 5-1 was just poetic. Could have left the net empty to make it 7-1. Yeah, it was poetic. It was perfect. It was exactly how this game should have ended. Agam saying, Frankie's such a good owner. Instead of watching his team and witnessing how dire it is, he'd rather watch Patrick Mahomes. And I did the same, but I don't own an NHL team. Yeah, I'm not going to hate too much on that. I don't think, he's a billionaire who wants to go on a tax write-off business trip and watch a football game. I mean, it's a game against the Ducks, right? I don't know if I'd be too invested. I'd probably rather stay in Vegas as well. Kai saying the Abbey Canucks are far more entertaining and exciting than the actual NHL team. They have a lot of physicality, and most importantly, they play as a team. Yeah, it is a fun product in Abbotsford. I went to that one game. It's very physical. The AHL is a physical league. And it's fun. The Elder saying 2 options for the Canucks. 1, ride it out like Arizona. Arizona's 1-11-1. Let's try to keep the Arizona comparisons to a minimum, but I get what you're saying. Or number 2, make trades for draft picks and unload some payroll. Firing Green now and not a month ago is a hope and pray desperation move. Yeah, I'm always of the mindset, and I made a video last year, and I don't recommend you go back and watch it because my videos were worse back in like March of last year. I don't know, when was this video? I'm going to pull it up really quick because it takes literally 2 seconds. I made a video in February 26th, and I said the Canucks should start selling players ASAP. And that was because the team was on a horrible losing skid, and with only a 56-game season, the team was out of the playoffs, basically, right? And I said, well, the sooner you sell, the better value you're going to get. And there was a lot of sort of intricacies with the Canadian division, and if you have to trade players to the States or get any players in return, there's a 2-week quarantine, so the Canucks had an advantage trading with Canadian teams. But still, if you're going to make moves, the earlier the better, because otherwise you're just prolonging. Gmod saying that this East Coaster is furious. I don't blame you. It's staying up for a game like this, although it was an earlier game, so that's better. Terry saying the way the Canucks played with an empty net, that literally shows where this team is. Yeah, they had no heart. There was no heart there. There was no like intensity or drive. I don't know if they got like one shot with the net empty, and I think it was Miller missing the net. Maybe this is really the last game coached by Green. I don't know. And again, I don't have an answer. I think it should be, but I don't have an answer. Billy's saying you think Green's on the hot seat. I think the fan pressure is going to reach a boiling point. Whether it's Green, whether it's Benning, I don't know. But I think the fans are a little more dialed in on Travis Green right now than they were Jim Benning. Jim Benning survived not having a contract and getting extended in the offseason, which was surprising. But yeah, he's definitely on the hot seat. Brian saying that Kyle Burroughs is playing well. I agree. Burroughs has been fine. Good on him. Keegan saying every loss we get closer to the change this team needs. I say let it keep happening. Well, I'd say have the change happen now so we can start winning some games and hopefully try to at least make it interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Spitfire is saying now we're measuring losses as if they're not bad. Of course they're bad, but when all we have to talk about is losses, you have to stack rank them somehow. Go Canuck Gus saying, great job, guys. Only 5 goals allowed tonight. Yeah. Woo. The Elder saying Green should have been fired a month ago. It's too late now. 66 games to go, and Edmonton and Calgary playing 900 hockey. It's not too late. Again, look, you're 4 games below 500. That is a lot. But if the Canucks, if they do make a change and they go on a bit of a run, then it's doable. However, yeah, it's every single game that passes, every single game that they lose, it gets a little too late. I'm not worried about Edmonton and Calgary. Edmonton and Calgary are going to be in the top 3 in the division. That's not where the Canucks were competing for anyways. The Canucks are competing for like 4th in the division if they somehow were to salvage anything, which is looking less and less and less likely. Lots of talk about Elias Pettersson. Yeah, he had a rough game again. And again, I've said all season so far, all 16 games, that I'm not worried about Pettersson because he's got the skill to overcome anything. But again, after every single game, the farther we get into the season and things don't change, I get a little bit more worried. I just don't think that he's like lost the mechanics or the skill. I just think something's not working for him. Yeah, they can't send him down though. That's for sure. See it saying other than Hoglander, not sure who else stood out. No one really. I mean, even if you look at the stats sheet, it's like, Horvat had 3 shots, but he didn't play great. Yeah, I don't think anyone really stood out in a positive way. Billy saying, speaking of Twitter, what's your handle? It's ParkersPucks. If you guys don't follow me on Twitter, I'd appreciate that. I want to get at least to 400. So go follow ParkersPucks on Twitter. I'll even drop it in the chat here for you guys. Go give that a click and hit the follow button. I'd appreciate that. And then you can see me be mad during the games instead of just after the games. Dave saying there was a fork in the road when the Canucks cut Linden loose. It was the wrong path taken. Yeah. I mean, it couldn't be much worse than it is now, right? Kai saying when you hear the stories about Schmidt and Holtby hating their time here and wanting out, it's not a good look for the Canucks. Especially when Edler chose LA over Van. I wasn't too concerned about Edler leaving because I think he's just sort of on a swan song. Go to LA. It's nice. Weather's nice. I don't know exactly. But yeah, Schmidt and Holtby. Schmidt was the example I used last game, right? Goes out and has 10 points in 15 games for the Jets after scoring 15 points all year here last year. That's rough. That is just straight up rough. Wolf Grill saying I'm about to drop Petey from my fantasy team for Rust. Rust is good. If you're in a keeper league, don't do that, but Steel Dog saying, is it time for the draft lottery simulator? Is that something we're going to have to do? I don't know how long it takes to update. It's probably still a game behind, but that could be a staple of the show. No, it's updated. No, it is. Yeah, it says the Canucks are 5-9-2. They've lost 4 straight. Okay, I'm going to hit the button. Ready? Canucks got second. Wow. Good job, guys. Arizona earned first. So there you go. The Canucks are going to get second in the lottery. Woo! JJ saying, if Aquilini isn't smart enough to fire somebody now / do something that shakes things up, then he deserves to lose all of his ticket buyers. Yeah, I mean, they lost me, for one. I mean, not like I was a big impact. I had quarter seasons and pretty cheap seats. But I canceled mine after the last season. Going into this season, they asked, and I said, no, I don't want to renew. Because it's not worth it. And it was a great decision. I've gone to 2 games and I've spent less than I would have with my quarter season tickets on those 2 games, and I had better seats. Just the secondary market is way cheaper. They're not going to sell any fresh tickets, right? The tickets that are available on Ticketmaster will stay available on Ticketmaster, because why would you bother spending $65 for a seat when you can spend $30 on, SeatGeek or StubHub for the same seats? James saying, tonight I wasn't even sure if I wanted them to win because I feel like there needs to be a change at this point. Yeah, it's a weird vibe to have, right? It's like, hey, well, if they win, then it, at least makes this season somewhat still alive for now. But if they lose, it might be better in the long term. And it's a weird thing to balance. Terrence saying that Aquilini apparently stayed in Vegas to watch the Raiders game, and I kind of discussed this already. I don't care about that. Do whatever you want, Francesco. If you want to spend a November night in Vegas, send it. Our Canucks saying, should we go to games to boo Benning, Green, and Aquilini, or not go to the games? If you buy your tickets on the secondary market, they don't get any of it. But they will get the money you spend on food and beer, which is my downfall because I do love a good beer at the game. So it's up to you. Get a good pre-drink on at the pint, go to the game, secondary market, do your booing, don't buy anything at the game, and then leave. That's your key. Sean BC saying, full on apathy right now. Can't believe Benning wasn't fired 3 or 4 years ago when I was saying he should have been, and now we're seeing why he should have been. Yeah, I saw a thing and it was like, I don't remember exactly what the tweet was, but it was something about like, oh wow, like now you guys are turning on Jim Benning. It's like, what if we turned on him like 4 or 5 years ago, right? Like, I don't know. It's saying, do you think changes will come at the ownership level too? It never will. They are not going to sell the team. Why would they? They're just not going to. I would love it. I think it should. I think it would be better for the team in the long run, but there's no way this team gets sold. Again, I've sort of hit on some of these questions already. Keegan saying, I've seen almost every game they've played since 2008. This is the first time I've ever had zero excitement to turn on the game because there was hope this year. Yeah. I mean, we go back to like the Megna Chaput years and we can be like, hey, well, that was a terribly constructed team, but they were at least kind of fun. And you were watching the Sedins and you didn't really expect them to go out and win. And they kind of overperformed in that first Willie D year. But this year, yeah, it feels like every time we get this little bit of excitement or this little bit of positive reinforcement saying, hey, this is the best our team is going to be in the past, 8 years or whatever. And then this is the result we get. And it's like, okay, well, then how can we ever have that hope, that excitement when after everything we've been told, and this is the playoff team, this is the product we get, right? Like, yeah, no wonder people are apathetic. Like we keep getting told that this team is going to be good and they keep not being good. Yeah, people are going to get tired of it. Okay, we're going to take a couple more. Lots of people talking about, who could replace the coach. I don't know. Again, I think there are some options, but I don't think there's any great ones. Our Canucks saying maybe Trent Cull. I don't like Trent Cull that much. I don't know. I just don't vibe with him very well. Nothing against him. I just the vibes aren't there in my mind. And yeah, do you want the Canucks to go out and get another rookie coach? Or do you want someone who was established? And I don't really have an answer for that. Part of me says, okay, we've had 2 rookie coaches in a row and they weren't good. But you look at other teams in the league who've had rookie coaches and they're doing great, right? Like John Cooper hadn't coached anywhere else before, although that roster's stacked. So I don't know. I don't really have a good answer. I don't want to hear this full rebuild talk. I can't do it. I can't do another like 5 years and then we'd lose Pettersson, Horvat, Besser, Miller. Like we'd lose all of them. It would be sad. It would be sad. Lefty all around saying, looking for cheap Canuck tickets, go on SeatGeek. SeatGeek is my go-to. It's usually the cheapest. Maybe I should get a SeatGeek referral code going. Get some referral money. Is that a quick process? Can I do that while I talk? Kurt's in here saying, trying to get into hockey because the NFL season isn't doing it for me this year. Only 3 games I watched for the last 3 the Canucks. Do they ever play defense? So it's your fault they're losing. Yeah, so they played a bit better defensively earlier in the season, but they're just broken right now. And I don't think you can gauge this roster on the last few games because they are just broken in every single way. Give your friends $20 off. How? I'll try that later. But yeah. Agam says Benning said this is the best roster in the past 8 years. Imagine what the worst roster would be. Yeah, I mean, if we had that Magna Chaput era playing like this, woo, that would be Arizona levels, you'd have to think. All right. I think we are going to wrap up here. If you guys, have any other questions, sorry I didn't get to them. But yeah, I think it is a good place to wrap up. We'll do this again. The Canucks don't play till Wednesday? Wednesday. They play Wednesday against Colorado. So we get a little bit of relief. We don't have to see this team play for a couple of days. And hopefully we have something a bit happier to talk about, whether it is a regime change or something else. Either way, we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys for watching. Shout out to all my members, VIPs, backstage members. Again, I haven't updated the credits tab, the credits page, but our backstage members, Shannon, Terry, Kurt, Lucas, Adam, shout out to you guys. Really appreciate it. But yeah, leave a like on the video, hit subscribe. If you missed any part of it, you can rewind back to the beginning, or you can find it on your favorite podcast platform within about 30 minutes or so from now. Follow me on Twitter, do all that good stuff, and I will see you guys hopefully before the next one if there's a coaching change or something, but otherwise on Wednesday.